You are stronger than you think. When I'm in a very challenging space in life, I tell myself, I say, hey, Sib, you pushed out a 10-pound, 10-ounce baby. I think you're gonna make this. I think you got this. I think you can make it. You have to talk to yourself in resilience. You have to cultivate a space to remind yourself that you are stronger than you think. You have the ability not to die in those ashes. Welcome. I am Sybil Bull, your host for Faith Based Optimum Living. We're going to dive into transformative content that talks about purpose-driven living, emotional wellness, and meaningful living. Let's get into it. Today, I really want to talk about a topic that I know all of us have experienced things in life, and we might not have clarity on exactly what it really looks like. And that is, overcoming challenges, but also how to cultivate resilience in difficult times. So we have a lot of I'm a survivor out there kind of, mindset and themes, which is nothing wrong with it. I've definitely been a survivor more times than I care to remember. But we really want to talk about resilience and what that looks like in cultivating it in difficult times, because difficult times, unfortunately, will not ever go away. Although we would all like to pray them away and just say be gone, they're always going to be here. Difficult times are a part of living life. And with doing that, we have to learn how to face them with strength and grace. Resilience is not just about bouncing back, right? It's more about growing through what each episode or each experience has been. So it's about exploring how we can cultivate this moment in our lives so that the tough times don't actually destroy us, blind us from our hope, take away our vision. But there are some things that we'll be able to move forward in if we just apply some strategies, being able to cultivate it and really have an understanding of what it looks like to be resilient. Because again, life is going to be lifing and challenges are going to come for us. And I just don't want you to be one of those people who is just caught in the mist, in the middle of the journey, that you don't get to the side that says thriving, and resilience brings us to that. Why does it matter? Why is it so important that we live in a place of resilience? Why is it so important that we cultivate it? It's important because it's more than surviving. Most of us knows what it looks like to survive. But thriving is where resilience comes in. Despite the adversity, despite the warfare, if you're in Jesus' warfare, despite what is happening in life, you'll learn how to navigate it. You'll learn how, you have to do, this is the up time, this is the down time, this is the sideways time. You find a sense of purpose and emotional balance. And that's what resilience really looks like. It is not about, it's not going to take me out, because it may very well take you out. But if it's taking you out, how do you come back up? This is a moment where you've lost everything, or this is a moment where the unexpected comes at you, what do you do? And resilience is what we want to cultivate when there's challenging times and where there are difficult times, where we're not just surviving, y'all, but we're thriving. And thriving really looks different in our lives. And it's a place where we really, really want to take a moment to assess. I need you to make sure that after this episode, you really think about, am I really thriving, or am I still in this place of survival? Because it could have ended years ago, but you're still in survival mindset, right? And when you're in a resilience, you're able to rebuild. You're able to, I'm not even looking for you to go back and get some stuff. I'm talking about coming out of the ashes and rising in a place where you're able to say, I've grown through this. I'm able to see, I have hope still. I'm even thankful for a few things, right? And that's what resilience looks like. And that's what it sounds like. So when you're shifting through the exterior parts of your life, there's some interior things that are going on, right? Some stress could be happening in that place. There's some could be anxiety that we're dealing with, depression that we're dealing with as we're moving through the terrains of what looks like survivorship, right? And I'm telling you, I'm proud of you right now. I'm celebrating you right now. Why? Because you've survived some stuff that I don't know if I would survive. I've survived some stuff that I don't know if you would survive. But what we want to do together is we want to thrive, right? We want to get to a place where we are rising from those ashes. And we're getting into a moment where we're able to identify what are some small steps. We're not going to just do it overnight. Some things really take you down bad. And you have to start moving through, what does it look like to address my small steps? What do it looks like for me to, instead of dwelling on the problem, how do I allow myself to move through the problem? I can't go over the problem, but I won't allow the problem to take me out. That's how it looks when you start having resilience and cultivating it. It is not being a victim. You may have had some things happen to you, but you don't allow it to label you as a victim. Someone may have even tried to victimize you and abuse you and misuse you, but you don't allow it to be a label that you carry. And the way you tell your story is through a place of resilience. The way you tell your story is through a place of, this is where I was, this is what happened, and this is who I've become. This is how I rebuilt. This is how I've restructured my life. This is how I've healed. This is how I became whole through that. And that's how you have to maneuver. Is it challenging? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it takes a mindset where you're not trying to avoid life, but you're coming at it head on. You're like, this makes me mad. This is hurting me so badly, but I will not die in it. I remember the last season of my life, and I was crying, and because that's what you do. These emotions are real, and I'm crying, and I am determined that I'm going to feel what I need to feel. I'm going to live through this. And I just kept telling myself, I'm not going to die here. Like, I'm not going to die here. Like, this is not going to kill me. And when I say kill me, you can physically still be alive, but like your hopes, your dreams, like everything that you want for your life could start dying a little bit at a time when you're only in survivorship. You can't even see, like, there's going to be, some people say that, like, I see the light at the end of the tunnel kind of a thing, right? With God, the beautiful part is that we know that he's the author and the finisher of our faith. He's the author of our lives. He's the one that's written the story. So I hold on to that, knowing that if he's written the story, then he absolutely knows that I come out as a conqueror. He knows that I come out victorious. He understands that. I may not feel that at this moment, but I can't just live by my feelings, right? Because my feelings can dictate to me lies. It could be how I'm feeling in this moment, but they could also say things won't change. It could also say, why try again? It could also say, this is how it's going to be. It could also say that I did something wrong when it wasn't something that I did wrong. So there's so many ways that my feelings could dictate to me and really mess me up. And I don't want that for you. I want you to be in a place where you start to thrive, where you start to come in a place where you're no longer just overwhelmed by what has happened to you, which could have been yesterday. You may still feel overwhelmed. I'm not telling you not to feel that, but don't allow it to be the thing that anchors you, that you don't believe in getting up tomorrow. You may feel depressed. You may feel sad. You may be grieving because there's loss. All of these things may happen, but how will you use it for your good? How will you decide that this place of resilience, I'm going to use it as one little strategy? Like, I'm going to create one little thing today where I can start practicing. And one of the things that I want to encourage you on is self-compassion. I know that self-compassion is very important because sometimes we talk very negatively to ourselves. And when we're having a resilience and we're cultivating resilience, we start to have self-compassion. That's where we say, hey, girl, I didn't see it, right? There was a moment in my life, I'm getting emotional, y'all, where I was like, I can't believe this happened. How did I not see it? Then I started going down that rabbit hole. Honey, I had to come up out of there because I realized that there are some things that you just won't see. Like, even in faith, you're believing, like, in God and Jesus, you're like, oh God, why didn't you show me? Maybe he showed me. And then you start going back in pages and experiences and you try to pull up stuff and like highlight stuff. And at the end of the day, there are some things we just will never see or never know. That's why faith is required. That's why we need God. That's why we need prayer. That's why we need the word. That's why we need Holy Spirit. That's why we got to hold on to him, right? Because life comes at you in ways that you are not always ready. And so you can't just blame yourself for everything. And for those of you who it was your fault, self-compassion is even greater and necessary, because you can't say, I'm a failure. It's me. It was myself. I was being stubborn. I was being this. I was being that. That doesn't take you anywhere. That keeps you stuck in a victim mindset, and it keeps you just rotating and cycling in a way that you are so embarrassed and you're so shamed and you can't go forward. You don't even think anything good's supposed to happen for you anymore. You feel like everything that happened, the tire done blowed out. You're like, that's because of this. That's because of that. Self-compassion comes with resilience, and you have to cultivate that. Even if it was your fault, forgive yourself, release yourself from that. Don't hold yourself as this captive to this one scenario, this one moment in your life when there's so many others to come. And I just want to get that in there. So write that down, put it on a sticky, put it on your phone, put it somewhere that reminds you, hey girl, hey man, have self-compassion, finding that one thing that you can control. That was the other thing that I did with myself. I was like, what can I control? I'm going to release the things that I cannot control. Resilience is about releasing things you can't control. All right. And so when you can't control something, but what can you control? I can't control anything. Stop tripping. You can control something. There is one thing that you can control in your own space, in your own world. And that's what it looks like when you are building resilience and cultivating it. And the other thing that I had to work hard at, I just started one thing. I had to start writing down just one thing of gratitude in that place to build resilience. When I know it sounds cliche, but gratitude really does rewire your mind, because then you're not just seeing things dark. You start to see light. There is something that happens to bring hope. And when you have gratitude, it reminds you that there are still good people and good things to happen. When you're just in that dark space and you focus on the problem, the situation, then you start talking like people talk, clumping everybody together. All people do this. You always do that. They all do that. You start clumping things together based on the fact that you're in or you have gone through a very painful situation. There are still good people in the world. There are still good men, good women, good jobs, good this, good that, right? And so you have to make sure that you have gratitude, which helps you to move out of there. You are stronger than you think. You are stronger than you think. Here's the funny part of stuff that I tell myself, and I'm going to let you into my world. When I'm in a very challenging space in life, I tell myself, this is what I tell myself. I say, hey, Sib, you pushed out a 10-pound, 10-ounce baby. You pushed out a 10-pound, 3-ounce baby. You pushed out a 10-pound, 1-ounce baby. Girl, I think you're going to make this. I think you got this. I think you can make it. You have to talk to yourself in resilience. You have to cultivate a space to remind yourself that you are stronger than you think, right? You have the ability not to die in those ashes. Okay. You have the ability. You gotta mourn. You gotta cry, but you have the ability to take those lemons and really make lemonade, or make a lemon meringue pie, child. Whatever you need to do. That's where it's at. That's how life is when you're cultivating a resilient mindset. I want you to remember that it's not just telling your story. You reframe it when you cultivate a resilient mindset. You're not telling your story from survivorship. I went through this. I went through that. Right? You start to come into a space where you're growing, and you start realizing, I actually came through this. I didn't just went through it. I came through this. I'm standing up in it. I have moved forward through it. I have evolved. I have transformed. And watch this. I may have even started, launched, created, and did all kind of things in the midst of all of the dark and all of the storm and all of the things. And that's what you have to tell yourself in your story. In resilience, when you're cultivating that for your growth, you don't blame people, right? You're like, yeah, people will do you wrong. And I'm not saying excuse them, but I started thinking about, why did this happen? what was I supposed to learn from it? Who am I? What is this? What is this that I need to get? And I started investigating some stuff. I started looking at my own behavior. I started looking at my own beliefs. I started looking at how I can thrive. If this area of my belief, my mindset hasn't changed, then when something else hits me again, may be totally different. Then if I haven't allowed resilience to be cultivated, as soon as the next wave of things hit me, then I'm down for the count again. And that's what I want to explain to you, that you have what it takes. You are stronger than you think, and you don't have to just be a survivor. Hang up that song. You can tell your story. You can reframe it. You can build it out to encourage other people. We listen, resilient people forgive people that shouldn't even be forgiven. Let's talk about that. We forgive people that even should not be forgiven because we're in a thriving mindset. I'm not forgiving you for me. I'm thriving so much. I'm in a place of prospering. I'm in a place of health. I'm in a place of wellness, that anything, whatever it takes, that's what I'm going to do. That's what it looks like when you're living from that place of resilience and cultivating that for your optimum life. You're not going to allow your power to be taken. You're going to take your power back, and you're going to go ahead and create what you need to create. Resilience allows you to face things again with strength and grace. And you also practice self-compassion. All right, we're closing out. I just want to remind you, focus on what you can control and build a personal resilience toolkit to navigate your own life. That's what you have to do. These are things that you're responsible for. I just want to get in this space with you and say, you've done good. You've come a far way. You still, you're surviving. I love that for you. But a season comes where you have to start thriving. You have to start growing. You have to start prospering. You have to come up. You start evolving. And that is where you should be going forward for. All right. So I just want to encourage you on that. I can't believe how quickly our time is gone. My goodness, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Our time has gone so fast, y'all. But I want to encourage you to make sure you go back and look at the other episodes. Make sure that you subscribe. And as we're getting ready to close out and building your resilience, tell yourself right now, I'm proud of me. I've come farther than I believe I could. All right. And remember that no matter what's happening in your life, that you are created by God. You have the power to move, to grow, to reproduce in areas that you possibly thought you couldn't because of what has happened to you. And I want to encourage you to never give up on yourself, because greater is He that's in you than he that's in this world. Yeah, I want to leave you with a word. All right. Because when we're talking about resilience, we're talking about some deep things that people have had to go through. And I'm just so grateful that you're still here. You're watching, you're listening. And I'm so glad that God has kept you. Whew. I want to say thank you for joining me on Optimum Living. I am Sybil Bull. And as always, remember to live with purpose, take care of yourself, and find meaning in the little things. Until next time, keep growing and enjoying the journey. And remember, you are created to live an optimum life.